Today we're diving into a story from Arusha, Tanzania, which is one of the fastest-growing cities in East Africa. We're going to explore how something as essential as rain is turning into a recurring disaster for the people who live there. So, let's get into it and find out why.
You know, all over the world, rain is supposed to be a good thing, a sign of life, right? But in cities like Arusha, it's starting to become a source of real dread. So what's the tipping point? What turns that blessing into a total disaster? Let's take a closer look.
So this is Arusha. It's a city that is absolutely buzzing with energy. You've got tourism, you've got trade, all happening right in the shadow of Mount Meru. It's basically a magnet for people looking for opportunities. But as the city expands, as it sprawls outwards, it's stretching its resources to the absolute limit, especially when the skies open up.
Okay, so we're calling this a neighborhood problem. But what does that actually mean? Let's break it down.
A neighborhood problem. It's so much more than just a headline or a damage report on the news. It's about the day-to-day struggle of trying to keep your family safe, trying to keep your home dry, and just trying to keep your life on track. It's a personal crisis happening over and over again on every street and every house.
So why is a city like Arusha so vulnerable to this? Well, the answer isn't just about the weather. It's really a perfect storm of different factors, and they're all hitting the city's most vulnerable neighborhoods at once.
Now, when you look at these four factors, you might think they're all separate issues, but they're not. They actually feed into this really dangerous cycle. The super fast population growth leads to unplanned construction, right? Well, that construction blocks natural waterways. Then people don't have a good way to get rid of their trash, so that clogs up the few drainage channels that even exist. And then when those intense seasonal rains finally hit, the water has absolutely nowhere to go.
Wow, okay, this slide really captures the heart of the problem. On the left, you've got an informal settlement. A place like Ngaranaro, it's like a maze of homes with no clear path for water to escape. Then on the right, you see a planned neighborhood. It's that total lack of planning on the left that means when the rains come, the water's only option is to go straight into people's homes.
So this rapid, unchecked growth is literally pushing people into harm's way. They're building in these low-lying areas that are, natural floodplains. The city's just growing way faster than its ability to provide the basics, like drainage systems and waste management. And that's creating a recipe for disaster.
Now that we kind of get the causes, let's talk about the human cost of this crisis. What is life actually like for the people living right in the flood's path?
Neighborhoods like Sombatini and Ngaranaro, they are on the front lines. These are really densely populated, low-lying communities where the floods hit first and they hit the hardest, year after year.
And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to what Stella Mosses, who actually lives in Arusha, has to say. Her words just paint such a vivid picture of what it's like when your street literally disappears underwater. It's a really powerful reminder of the daily reality for thousands of people.
I mean, this image just tells such a powerful story. When the roads flood like this, life just grinds to a halt. You can't get to work, kids can't get to school, and forget about emergency services trying to get through. The whole city is paralyzed, and the consequences are just devastating.
And the personal cost is just immense. Can you imagine seeing your home, everything you've worked so hard for, just submerged in muddy water? Or the constant fear of your child getting sick from contaminated water? This is the real, everyday threat for thousands of families in Arusha.
And the impact doesn't just stop at the front door. These floods create these huge ripple effects that are felt across the entire city, hitting the environment and the local economy hard.
Just look at this. This is so much more than just a damaged road. This is like a main artery of the city's economy being completely severed. When roads like this one get washed away, goods can't get to market, people can't get to their jobs, and the entire region suffers.
Okay, get ready for this number, because it is staggering. 89%. In 2011, the economic losses just from transportation being disrupted by floods were estimated to be 89% of the entire regional GDP. To put that in perspective, it's like the whole economy of the region was almost completely wiped out for an entire year. That just shows you the devastating power of these floods.
So beyond all the economic costs, there's the environmental toll. Floods strip away precious topsoil. They pollute rivers and groundwater with all sorts of waste. And they destroy the very ecosystems that are supposed to help regulate water flow in the first place. It's a vicious cycle.
I know, it's a pretty grim picture, but it is not hopeless. So what could actually be done? Let's look at some of the pathways that could lead to a safer, drier future for Arusha's neighborhoods.
So how do we build this safer, drier future for Arusha? Well, it's not about one single solution. It's more like a four-pronged attack. It's got to combine practical, on-the-ground action with some serious long-term strategic planning. Let's break it down.
And this right here is so key. When disaster strikes, it's often the community members themselves who are the very first responders. You can see them here, just working together with whatever tools they can find to clear debris and get things moving again. It just shows you the incredible power of community action.
So for the city's leaders, the message is pretty simple. Prepare, don't just repair. Being proactive, clearing and protecting waterways, that's one of the most cost-effective ways to save lives and livelihoods. It's a real investment in the city's future.
And for the residents of Arusha, this is a call to action. You have the power to make a huge difference. By getting organized locally, taking ownership of your own neighborhoods, you can build a much more resilient community, literally from the ground up.
Ultimately, the path forward for Arusha is all about shared responsibility. This isn't just a government problem, and it's not just a community problem. It's everybody's problem.
It's going to take real collaboration between authorities who plan and enforce the rules and citizens who act and advocate for themselves. So we want to leave you with this question. What does a resilient neighborhood look like to you? And maybe more importantly, what's one thing you could do in your own community to help build it?